Hi guys, we're doing another video today on Chapter 9, Section 3, 9.3, if you're using the same book as us. Today's essential question is, how can I find the surface area of cylinders? So we're working on cylinders, and we're working on area, surface area, which means we're looking at the outside part of the object to figure out how much space there is. And so we're going to try a few problems today. I even brought a couple of example cylinders, although under the screen might look kind of weird, but it's these things that roll. Looks like a can or something. There's a kind of a skinny tall one that I have. Here's a little bit of a wider one. Same idea though, if I turn it over, it will roll along the edge here. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the outside surface of the object. So what is the area of the entire thing if I want to go all the way around this object? So to do that, we've practiced this in one prior video. So we're going to go through those steps again of how to do that. So underneath in our notes here, let's write example 1. So I'm going to write example 1. And let's start by trying to draw our cylinder. Now cylinders for me are a little bit easier than like pyramids. I struggle with drawing pyramids, but I think I can draw a cylinder. I'm going to draw kind of an oval shape, and then I'm going to match that oval down below. So they're basically identical, and then 2 straight lines. And there's my cylinder. Sweet. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the surface area. So we need some measurements. Someone's got to give us some numbers. If we don't know numbers, we can't do anything. So let's say someone came along and told us that this thing measures from top to bottom a distance of 6 feet from top to bottom. And then they've also come in on the circle and they've measured it across the full diameter of the circle, and it measures 8 feet. Let's find the surface area of this object. So we have a 6 by 8 cylinder. Well, what are we going to do? We're going to break it into parts. So here's my block cylinder here. Remember, it has a circular top. So we're going to find the surface area of that circular top. And if I flip this over, it's identical on the other side. So we have 2 circles that we're going to be studying first. So what I'm going to do in my notes is I'm going to draw one of these circles. And this is the top and bottom of our cylinder. So I'm going to label it top/bottom, meaning there's 2 of them. Kind of good to remember. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my measurement in there that it measures 8 feet across. 8 feet. So how do I find the area of a circle? Well, we've memorized that. We know that area of a circle is a formula. A equals pi r squared. So if area is pi r squared, what we really just need to know is what's r, so we can solve for it. Well, if the diameter is 8 feet, r would have to be 4 feet. It has to be 4 plus 4 to make 8. So we're going to put a 4 here, and we're going to be doing 4 squared. It'll be area equals pi times 4 squared. And 4 squared means 4 times 4, and we know 4 times 4 is 16. So our area is going to equal pi, which is 3.14, times 16. And we're going to use a calculator to do that. I know my answer is going to have a wiggly equal sign because we're rounding. The pi number is not really 3.14. It's a much longer decimal than that. But my rounded answer, 3.14 times 16. Remember, double check my math. Make sure you're getting the same thing as me. I'm getting 50.24. So I'm going to write down the area of this circle is about 50.24. And I know there's going to be 2 of those because there's the top, and then when I flip it, there's the bottom. Okay, so we got the circle. Now comes the hard part. The outside part. So hopefully you watched the last video, and in the last video what we did is we actually unrolled the outside. And what shape did the outside make if you unroll it? Picture having a can of soup and pulling the wrapper off and putting the wrapper down flat. It makes a rectangle. The outside of the shape is just one long rectangle. So what I'm going to do for my second part is I'm going to draw a long rectangle that represents unrolling this object. Now, the tricky part is finding the dimensions of this rectangle because we need the area, so we're going to need to figure out what's the length and what's the width. The width is going to be easy for me because if I look at the picture of my cylinder up here, it's 6 feet wide on the side here. So when I unroll it, this is 6 feet. But this part's tricky to find the length. So let's see if you can remember this from the last video. If I unroll this cylinder all the way out, this is the length of the rectangle, is the distance around this circle if I flattened it. So we need the distance around the circle. Remember, we call that circumference. We need the circumference of the circle. Whatever circumference is this distance here. Remember, circumference formula is pi times d. So we're going to do pi times diameter, and the diameter is 8 feet. So we're going to do pi times 8 equals circumference. So our circumference is about equal to 3.14 times 8. So let's see what 3.14 times 8 is. 25.12. Okay, so 25.12 is about the circumference, a distance around the circle, and is the length of this rectangle. So how do I find the area of the rectangle? I do length times width. I'm going to do 25.12, and I'm going to times that by 6 to get my total area. So let's see, I already have the 25.12 in my calculator. I'm just going to write times 6. Let's see what we get. 150.72. Okay, 150.72. 150.72. All right, well, we're ready to get our final answer now. Final answer, total surface area. I'm going to write right here, total surface area equals this number that we just got, 150.72, plus the circular top and bottom, this thing that we found was 50.24. There are 2 of those. So plus 2 of the 50.24. And we'll add all that up and hopefully get an answer that makes sense. Maybe you should pause the video and put this in a calculator and see if we end up with the same solution. Go ahead and do that right now. And then I'm going to put mine in here. So 2 times 50.24. It's a little over 100. And then all I got to do is add on my 150.72. And let's see if we all kind of agree on an answer, 251.2. So the answer is, the surface area is 251.2. Everything's being measured in feet, so we're going to write feet squared. And that is our solution. So the area of our cylinder is 251.2 square feet. Meaning if I could take this cylinder and draw little tiny squares on it, there are 251 squares that would paint this object on the outside. That's basically what surface area is. All right, so let's try another one. Let's do another example. We'll call this example 2. Switch pages here, give myself some room to work. And this time, let's look at a cylinder that's a little longer and skinnier. So I'm going to go this direction. I'm going to make my oval look like this. And then go across. There's my cylinder. Okay, my drawing's so-so on this one, but you get the idea. It's a little bit more like this thing. This one's a little skinnier, smaller circles on the bottom and top, but kind of a longer cylinder itself. Wow, not far off actually, huh? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to find the surface area, and I need numbers. So I'm going to tell you that this particular cylinder happens to be measured in centimeters, and it happens to be 12 centimeters long. I'm also going to tell you that the distance across the circle is only 6 centimeters. Okay, so let's find the surface area. So why don't we start with the circles? There's 2 of them. So this time I'm going to draw the circle over here. I guess I wouldn't call this the top and the bottom, but it kind of is if I just turned my cylinder and made it stand up. It still is the top and the bottom, so I'm still going to call it that. Top/bottom. Okay, so we got the top and the bottom. We're going to add on our label. We know it's a 6 centimeter diameter. Across the center is 6 centimeters. And we know to find the area, we use the area formula. Area equals pi r squared. So in this case, area is going to be pi times the radius squared. Well, what's r? If this is 6, the r must be 3. 3 plus 3 makes 6. So we're going to do 3 squared. And 3 squared is 3 times 3, and that's 9. So our area is going to be pi, which is 3.14, times 9. And whatever that is, gives us our circle. So we need to multiply 3.14 times 9, which should be bigger than 27. 3 times 9 is 27. So 3.14 times 9 is about 28.26. So 28.26 is the area of both of our circles. There's two of them. I'm going to write 28.26. And now let's focus on the hard part, which is unrolling this really long rectangle. So if we were to take this cylinder and roll it out so that we could actually see how what the rectangle looks like, it would be something like this. There's our rectangle. What do we know about the rectangle? Well, we know one of its measurements across is 12 centimeters. So this time, I think the 12 centimeters goes like this. And then the other dimension that we don't know is the distance around the circle. It's that circumference. It's this thing. If we measured the outside of the circle and went all the way around it, that would give us our other number. So that's the hard one to find. So that is going to have to be circumference equals pi times d. That's what this is going to have to be. Circumference equals pi times d. So what was d? What was our diameter? It was 6. So we're going to do circumference equals pi times 6. We're going to do 3.14 times 6 and see what we get. 3.14 times 6. I know 3 times 6 is 18, so it's got to be bigger than that. 3.14 times 6, got to be bigger than 18, 18.84. Okay, 18.84 is our number that we get to write down. And that just gives us the number that goes on the side here. It gives us the width. So now we got to find the area of the rectangle. It's a 12 by 18.84 rectangle. So we got to do 12 times 18.84 to get this area. And I already have the 18.84 in my calculator, so I'm just going to hit times, and I'm going to do 12 and see what we get here. Oops, not what I meant to do. And I'm getting 226.08, 226.08. Okay, so the area is 226.08. All right, there's our rectangle. So now, sweet, we're ready for an answer. We got time to find our total surface area here. So total surface area. Total surface area is going to be, let's see, 2 of these circles. There's a top and a bottom, so 2 of the 28.26's plus this rectangle that we just found, which was 226.08. Whatever this all adds up to be, that's going to be our final solution. So we got to do 2 times 28.26. 2 times 28.26. I get this, 56.52. And then we just got to add that on to the 226.08. Add that all up, and we get our grand total of 282.6. Awesome. So our answer is 282.6, we said. This time we measured everything in centimeters, so we're going to write centimeters squared, and that is our answer. Done. All right, what do you think? Are you understanding the surface area stuff with cylinders? I think it's easy to do when you practice a couple problems, but like wait a week or two and then have a cylinder problem pop up and you're like, oh, how do I do this again? I forget. So you really got to think about the object itself. Like remember, oh, it's got a circular top and bottom, so I got to work with the number pi, and I got to find the area of those circles. And then unroll it so you can see the rectangle. And the unrolling part, I think that is the hardest thing, to be honest. So let's do a you try, because the best way to see if you actually understand something is to try it yourself without help. So test yourself out. Here is your you try problem. See if you can do this on your own, and then when you're ready, you can check your answer. And I'm going to draw a cylinder that looks kind of like this. There is my cylinder. Should make that look a little better, but there you go. So the dimensions, the measurements on this cylinder is it measures a height of 5 inches. 5 inches, and it has a distance across the entire circle of 9 inches. Right now, if you could hit the pause button on your device, I'd like you to try this all by yourself and see what you get for a solution. Go ahead and try, and when you're ready, unpause the video. All right, okay, you should be unpausing the video, and you should be all done because I'm about to go through the answers here. So I'm starting with my circular top and bottom first, which I'm going to draw right here. And my circular top and bottom have a distance across the circle of 9 inches. So across the circle is 9 inches, which means, my radius, I'd have to divide 9 in half. That's 4.5 and 4.5. So my area, my pi r squared, which hopefully is the formula you use, is going to have to be A equals pi times 4.5 squared. Now, 4.5 squared means I have to do 4.5 times 4.5. So 4.5 times 4.5, if I multiply that, is 20.25. So I have area equals pi, 3.14 is pi, times 20.25. I'm going to multiply these together in my calculator, and I'm going to get an about answer because I'm rounding pi now. So I'm going to times this by the 3.14, and I'm going to get 63.585. So this is 63.585, and that's the area of our circular top and bottom. Now I got to do the unrolling piece. So let's unroll this thing and go to kind of the next step. So if I was to unroll this, I would have kind of this long rectangle, something like this. And its measurements, obviously it's 5 inches on the width side. But the length side, the question mark that I don't know, I got to use that circumference formula again. C equals pi times d to figure that out. And d is 9 in this problem. So I got to do c equals pi times 9. So 9 times 3.14. So I think that's that 28 number, isn't it? 3.14 times 9, 28.26. Yep, 28.26. Okay, so we're going to use that as our number for circumference. And that tells me that this is 28.26. But my length times my width, my area, is 28.26 times 5. So I got to multiply by 5 to get my total area. And that's 141.3. All right, 141.3. So now that I have all my numbers, I just got to total up my surface area. I'm about done here. So I'm going to write total surface area equals 2 of the circles. So 2 of the 63.585s plus this thing, 141.3. So we're going to add all of that up together, and whatever we get, that is our final answer. So hopefully you're with me so far as you're checking your work. I'm going to put in these numbers here. I'm going to do 2 times 63.585. And here's what I got for that part, 127.17. Now I'm going to add that to the 141.3, and I'm getting my final answer of 268.47. All right, there it is, 268.47. And my units are inches, so I'm going to write inches squared, and that is my total surface area. And we're done. All right, so how did you do? I'm really curious. Look at your work and my work. Some of the things you should check for that I think are really important is, are you writing A equals, A equals, A equals, A is about equal to? Are you putting that on every step? Are you writing pi r squared and pi times d and putting the formulas on there? Did you draw both of the pictures of the circle and the rectangle? Because if you're skipping any of that stuff, then you're really not showing like the full detail of how we solve this problem. So go back and look at your work, and if you're realizing like, oh, I didn't actually draw the pictures, I did them in my head, draw the pictures. Or if you're like, I didn't write the formula, I just skipped it and did it in my head. Write the formula. You want all of your steps pretty organized, like C equals, C equals, C equals, and easy to read, so that anyone who looks at your paper doesn't have to know who you are or have to like try to figure out what it says. They can look right at your paper and be like, oh yeah, this person gets it. I see what they did, and it's easy to follow. All right, guys, thanks for watching the video, and hopefully Cylinders is getting a little bit easier for you, and we will continue to practice. Bye, guys.